Wide Left Sports is proudly sponsored by TDS Fiber, bringing fast, reliable internet to Billings and beyond. Whether you're streaming the big game, uploading content, or just trying to keep the whole house connected, TDS Fiber delivers the speed you need without the lag. Check availability in your neighborhood and make the switch today. TDS Fiber, internet built for real life. Hello, welcome to Wide Left Sports. Today I am joined by one of the Shrine football guys and MSU commit and Grass Range football player, Jace Bantz. Jace, how are you doing today, man?
Good. How are you?
I am doing really good, really good. So my first question is a lot of the times the same to the athletes that I have on, but what made you fall in love with football?
Definitely just growing up around it, being around it my whole life and watching and playing in the backyard. It's just always been there for me.
I love it. I love it. And so, with football being such of a mental game and mentally and physically taxing on your body, what made it a sport that you wanted to come back to year after year?
I don't really know what exactly it was. I just probably say the love of the game. I don't know. There's something about it that I just really like.
I love that. So then let's talk a little bit about your position because you're a defensive end. And so what is it that you love about playing defensive end? Because, you guys got to be tough. You got to be smart. You got to know what the offensive line is doing. And you got to love being hit. So what do you love most about that position?
Definitely probably throwing a move on a offensive lineman and trying to get around him. It feels kind of good when you're going up a guy that's a lot bigger than you and you can seem to wiggle your way around him. There's something accomplishing about that.
I love that. And so then a follow-up question with that, you kind of answered it in your question, is what kind of defensive end do you want to be? Are you more of a speed rusher, power rusher, the bulldozers? Like, what is your type of defensive end that you want to be?
Probably one that I'd really like to be one that's well-rounded. It can do both speed and power. It's what I'd like to try to get to.
I love that. So then what is one thing about you as a player that people assume, that isn't 100% true?
Some people assume that 6-man, I just played the end all the time, but I actually played a lot of linebacker and on defense in 6-man, kind of all over the place. And on offense as well. I've been in a bunch of different positions.
That's awesome. So talk to us a little bit about that 6-man because it is different than obviously, 11-man football that the Billings schools have where I'm at. So talk to us a little bit about what that looks like and, what it would mean for you playing on both sides.
Both sides, well, I guess around here we didn't really have a choice. Pretty short on guys, so everybody has to play both ways and plug in where they can and just play whatever position coach needs you to at the time and just win your rep every time.
That's awesome.
And,
so then, go ahead. Sorry, Jace.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, after playing 11-man and then coming back down to 6-man, seems a lot like a skelly.
So then, talk to us about what's on the field, position-wise for 6-man, and how is that different from the 11-man game?
So 6-man on defense, the defense we ran this year, we had 2 DNs, 2 linebackers, and 2 safeties. And safeties aren't always above you all the time. Sometimes they have to take a man of their own and somebody will leak out of the backfield. And as a back, you just have to take him. You can't pass him off to anybody. You just have to follow him and hope they don't run it back, or otherwise you're going to have to cover some more ground and get him.
Wow. So then, how do you think that having to have that athleticism and really more one-on-one tackling helped you when you have had the instances to play 11-man football?
Uh, I'd say definitely helps because you have to be a more well-rounded player and you're more versatile. I think instead of just pounding in the one position, you can be moved and plugged into whatever position you need to. And you've had a
For
little bit
sure.
of experience in that position before and not just your first time being thrown in it.
For sure. For sure. So, obviously you're from Grass Range, and that is a very small town in Montana. And so, what is it like for your guys on Friday night to get to represent Grass Range and put on that jersey and see the fans there in Grass Range?
Well, Grass Range, we're too small to have lights or anything, so we don't get to play on Friday night. We get to play on Saturday afternoon. And so usually the whole community is free from work and whatnot to come out. And it's been big for the community. And us guys on the team, we take a lot of pride in playing football in front of them because they do so much for us and we're pretty close knit.
I love that. So then, how would you describe the culture around football in the Grass Range community?
I like to describe it as kind of hard nosed, gritty kind of program. We like to just play smash mouth football and kind of looking for the big hit.
I love that. I love that. So then, what do people who aren't from small towns not understand about, the Class C 6-man small town football?
Um, Probably that doesn't matter how the game's going, everybody needs you. You can't get out of it with your mind. Otherwise, you're going to let part of the team down because if we lose one guy, the next one up is probably a freshman or someone who's younger, although we've had the privilege this year to have a couple more able freshmen. And so if you're not able to perform, you're putting some other guys in a tough spot.
For sure, for sure. So then, every good program has a standard. And so, what is the standard there at Grass Range for football?
Our team, uh, coach is trying to push us to be better young men and not just football players. So the standard that we have to uphold is no swearing, no nonsense, none of the inappropriateness. If we do that, then we're gonna pay for it.
I love that. I think that's great in today's world to have those standards for your players. I think that's awesome.
Yeah,
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, yeah, it's helped us in the real world too.
That's awesome. So who's a teammate that you think deserves more recognition than what they've gotten, and why?
I'd probably have to say my buddy Joe Delaney. You don't hear about him a lot. He's kind of overlooked, but he's a DN and he played a lot for us this year. And he was in on a lot of tackles. He got quite a few sacks and pressured the quarterback a lot and made him throw dumb passes. And he's just a beast sometimes.
I love that. And so then, what is your favorite memory in a Grass Range uniform that you're going to remember 20 years from now?
Um, Not particular. It's not particularly one memory. It's just a bunch of memories playing with this team and this squad that we like to call it, and definitely playing in a state championship with my brothers. That's been one of the best memories I could have ever made.
Well, let's talk about that. Getting to a state championship, that's hard. And especially in 6-man football, where you have to be healthy because there's not many other replacements for you, as you've said. So, how neat was that to be able to play in a state championship and see, all of the reward for what you guys put in work wise?
Um, it was definitely a blessing to see. It's what we were aiming for since the start of our season. When we came in August, our goal was to do something that's never been done before, and that was kind of like our motto for the whole season, because there hasn't been a team in Grass Range that has actually got to win state. So we were going for that, and also no Grass Range football team has ever made it to the state championship, so that was also another one of our goals. And last year, coming back down from the co-op with Fergus to 6-man, we went 4-5, less than 50%, and kind of under a lot of people's radar. So we were trying to find our way up and let ourselves be known. And playing in that, it helped the community, I'd say, because it kind of brought them together, and they really rallied behind us. They were at every game. They would be at every community function, potlucks, whatnot, and they would just be loud and proud for us, and it was awesome.
Oh, I love that. So, let's talk about something that's, I don't know if it's only in Montana, but there are a lot of co ops, like you were saying, with you guys in Fergus. And so, how did that work? With you guys traveling to Lewistown and doing everything like that. How did that work for you guys?
Well, so we were still co-oped with Winnett, and then our Winnett Grass Range co-oped with Fergus for football. So the first year we did it, we had one kid from Winnett, and there was 4 of us from Grass Range. So the Winnett guy, he got to get out of school a period early because it was a study hall for him. They scheduled it that way, and so he got to take off from school early, drive, and then meet us in Grass Range. And then from there, we got to leave maybe 20, 30 minutes early from our last period. And we got to head to Lewistown, and we'd usually get there right as soon as they were warming up. So we had to hustle up, put all of our gear on, go stretch by ourselves, and then get to work.
Wow. So then how hard is that? Obviously Lewistown, all those guys go to school together. They played together for years and years and years. How hard is that for you guys being a smaller number of the guys on the team to kind of make your mark?
Yeah, it wasn't really that hard. We loved it. They welcomed us with open arms. We were pretty close knit, even for being from 3 different schools in a big team. They still brought us in and let us be just one of those guys, I guess.
I love that. I'm really glad. And I actually know Coach Sparks. So I that does not surprise me with him at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good guy. So now let's talk about your development and your, skills as a defensive end, because I know that's what you're going to be playing at MSU. So what do you think is the strongest part of your game right now?
Strongest part, I'd probably have to say my arms. I've been blessed with pretty long arms, and I like to use those and make separation, keep the other guy's arms off of me.
That's awesome. So then, what is something that you've improved most over the last year?
I'd probably have to say my speed. Last year and years before, everybody kind of gave me crap for being pretty slow. So I worked on it over the summer and in the off season, and I'd like to say I got a little bit faster, I guess.
I love that. Okay, so then I have to ask, because speed is not something, if you're not born with speed, it is hard to gain speed. So what did you do to get yourself more speedy than what you were?
Um, when we so I went out for track, and Coach Lancey's pretty good. We had to run hills every day, work on our running form, and run with parachutes and just a bunch of resistance running and stuff like that. Definitely probably just get more quick twitch muscles in my legs and get those things firing, I guess.
I love that. I love that. So then, what is something that you're still chasing? You know, one area that you still want to make even better than what it is today.
I'd have to say my strength. I feel like I'm somewhat strong of a guy, but I definitely like to get all my lifts up and just tack on more weight and be more explosive.
I love that. And then I have to ask, because you're a D end linebacker combo right now, what is your
Mhm.
favorite move to get past an O lineman? You know, and especially a bigger guy. We'll go with that because they're a little bit easier to get around.
Uh, I'd have to say get them off balance, create separation, then a spin move.
I love that. I love that. So, excuse me. When you're lining up across from a tackle, what are you looking for right away? You know, is it where their eyes are? What are you looking for in them that you know you might be able to beat them on the line of scrimmage?
Definitely where they're leaning, where their balance is, and where they're trying to go with their blocking scheme. I'd say I'd try to guess that.
Awesome. And so, you know, when things aren't necessarily going your way, I mean, I know you guys had a really good season this year, but how do you reset and move on to the next game or next play, and not let it get in your head? That football's super emotional in that way.
Yeah, as a team this year, we just had to shake off any bad plays that we have, forget about them. Coach told us short memory, just forget about them, on to the next one, because if your mind's still 2 plays behind, you're not going to be in the one in front of you.
I love that. And so then, who's had the biggest influence on you as a player? You know, I know you mentioned family, but who's had that biggest impact on you?
Oh man, all the coaches that I've had, they've kind of had a great impact on me. I don't know if I could single out just one, but all the coaches that I've had, I've been blessed with. They've been super great and helpful with me learning and everything. Whether it's the coaches from Fergus or our Grass Range coaches, they've all been great and helped me so much.
I love that. So now let's talk about, you know, the reason why I reached out to you was you were selected to the Shrine Game, and that is a huge deal. So what was that moment like when you found out on Christmas Day that you were going to be on the East West Shrine Game?
Um, it was kind of a surreal moment. I've always kind of thought about it. I always thought it would be cool. Like when we were co-opted with Fergus my freshman year, a couple of those guys made it, and I kind of had my eyes on it then, that I've kind of wanted to play in that game. And when I found out Christmas morning, I was pretty ecstatic.
That's awesome. So I've talked to a lot of Shrine players, you know, over the last few years. Some are refreshing their phones at 12:01 to see if they made it, or they wake up the next morning to see if they made it. Which one were you?
Uh, I just woke up the next morning and found out right before we opened presents.
I love that. And so then, who was the first person that you told after you found out?
Um, if I remember right, I think I texted Joe.
Awesome. And then, you know, the really cool thing about that is you are nominated by your coaches for that. And so, what does it mean to you that your coaches thought to nominate you and that they thought so highly of you to do that?
Um, it's definitely such an honor to be nominated by them. Um, and I can't really put it into words how I was feeling. It was just super thankful.
That's awesome. And so, the other thing about that is I'm sure as you look down the list, there were not many Class C guys on that list. And so, what does it mean to you to represent Class C in the six-man game at one of the biggest, if not the biggest, all-star game in the state?
I definitely want to show out, show people that there's some really good athletes in Class C too. They may be few and far between, but there's always athletes everywhere. No matter the size and strength, there's athletes that you can find anywhere.
Oh, for sure. And then how cool will it be, with that, getting to play against the double A guys and play with double A guys. And then even in this game, there's one guy from Canada on each team. So how cool will it be to get to have all those different levels intermixing?
I think it'd be great. It would be an awesome thing to see all their different cultures and how everybody else plays football, how they play football at different levels. It would just something that I'm super excited to see.
For sure. What are you most excited about with that week in June in Butte?
Um, Definitely be getting to be back around a big program and um, a bigger team camaraderie and stuff.
I love that. And then, the Shrine game is obviously something that is, you're playing for something bigger than you. You're playing for the kids that go to the Shrine Hospital. And so, what does it mean to get that opportunity, for your last high school game?
Um, it's such an honor. That's the only word I can think of right now is that it's an honor to play for that nonprofit for those kids.
I love that. I love that. Well, now, Jace, I want to talk about your commitment to MSU. First off, congratulations on getting that commitment. That is awesome. But what was your recruitment process like and what led you to MSU?
Oh, thanks. I'd say it started Coach Howe. I don't know. I don't really know how he got my name, how he got Grass Range, but he stopped by one day and just to see me. He said he heard some things about my size and long arms, and so he stopped by to see me, and we had a great conversation, and I guess I fit the build, and that's super awesome. And then kind of talked over the summer. They invited me to some camps to go to, and then the small team camp. But right after he came, a couple weeks later, I broke both of my arms in a weightlifting accident, so I didn't get to really play in front of them. So I had to miss the camp in the small team camp. I was there, but I didn't really get to compete. So I'm just glad that they still took a chance on me, even though they didn't really get to see me play in front of them.
Wow. So, I mean, how awesome is that they saw enough in you, even without really seeing you play, that they were willing to say, yeah, he's a Bobcat, and we want to have him here in Bozeman.
I guess I just got to thank my lucky stars and be glad that the man upstairs was working for me.
That is so awesome. So then, for you, what was your tipping point to where you were like, yeah, I want to become a Bobcat? Because I mean, they can want you, but ultimately, it's you making that decision of I want to be in Bozeman for the next 4 years or 5 years. So, what was that tipping point where you made that decision?
Um, Kind of when I was growing up, ever since I was a kid, I've been a Cats fan. I've had aunts and uncles that went to college there, so we would go for games and whatnot. And I've always had it in my mind, and it's been a dream to play for them since I can remember.
Awesome. And then, you're kind of coming into MSU at the absolute best time, coming off of a national championship this last January. Well, I guess this month. So how cool is that to step into a program in our home state that is just so, I guess, successful, for lack of better words?
It's definitely so surreal. That's also another thing that you play football for and dream about is winning a national championship. And for them to go out there and do that, it was amazing. I remember sitting at the couch here watching the game. I was pretty nervous. Might have took a couple years off my life, but they got it done, and it was amazing.
No, I felt the same way. I was watching it at one of our watch parties here in Billings, and I felt the same way. I was like, it took about 10 years off my life, but it's so worth it.
Yeah, definitely worth it.
Oh, that's awesome. And, the cool thing about the Bobcats and, all the other schools in Montana as well, but the Bobcats really make an emphasis on the small town guys. They have the Greeby brothers that are from Milestone, and they've had a bunch of others that I can't think of right now. But how much did that play a factor into your decision when they have a proven track record of having small town guys from Montana do extremely well in their program?
Definitely shows that it can be done, and that they know that the small town guys are just as capable as the other guys that they bring in, and that shows that it can be done, and that just got to work hard and work your way up the totem pole to get where they at.
I love that. So then, once you get to Montana State, what kind of player do you want to become?
I definitely want to become a gritty player, definitely a physical player, and known for my hard work, I'd like to say.
I love that. And then what part of your game are you most excited to develop there? I mean, their weight program and everything is second to none there. So what are you most excited to get to at or get at when you get there? Excuse me.
Most excited definitely be the weight program, because everybody there is so big and they know what they're doing when it comes to the weight room. I've had my faults. In our weight room here, it's pretty small. There's not a lot of equipment, but I'm excited to get there and get started on my weight journey.
I love that. I love that. And so now, as we kind of wrap up, let's just do some quick get to know you quick hitters. So, who's your favorite NFL and college team?
Texas Longhorns is my favorite college team, and Chicago Bears are my favorite NFL team.
Hey, the Bears had a great year. Caleb Williams seems to be the guy for him, huh?
Yeah, we hope so.
That's awesome. And then, do you have any pregame song or artists that you have to listen to get you hyped up for the game?
This year, my buddy Joe was a DJ for our team, and every game we listened to a lot of Linkin Park, a lot of old rock songs, not a whole lot of rap, just straight heavy metal.
Hey, that'll get you pumped up. I listen to that quite a bit when I need to get pumped up. So I'm right there with him. So, what is the best football advice you've ever been given?
That's a good one. I'd have to say best football advice would probably go back to coach and how he always said, if your mind's still stuck in a couple plays behind, it's never going to be in a couple plays forward, and you're not going to be present in the play that's right in front of you.
I love that. And then my last question is, what message do you want to send to Grass Range, the supporters, your coaches, your teammates, and your family that has helped you get to this point?
I'd like to thank them for everything they've done to me. They're the ones that got me to this point, and I'm just truly thankful for them.
Awesome. Well, Jace, I want to thank you so much for coming on, talking to us about Grass Range football a little bit, and the Shrine game, and of course your commitment to MSU as well. So I wish you the best of luck with all of it, and thank you again so much for coming on.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Have a great rest of your day.
Yep, you too.